Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As many of you know, my teacher was Muhammad Rahim Muhaiyaddeen. And we were with him from 1972 till he passed in 1986. And he was a fountain of words and a fountain of knowledge. But more than that, he was a being that was a manifestation of divine qualities. And he taught us to try and find out who we are. He was from Sri Lanka, and one of his close disciples from Sri Lanka, whose name was Nurul Karima, he called her Nanyar. And Nanyar means, who am I? And so a large part of the teaching was self-discovery. Who am I? And he told us lots of things that were hints as to who am I. But of course, unless you have some self-knowledge, it's very difficult to understand these parables and these stories at the time that they're told to you, mostly at the first time that they're told to you. For instance, he told us, if you know yourself, you will know your Lord. So, it's a nice phrase, but to get to the essence of the meaning of that phrase takes years. He also gave us an example of who we are, or who we should be, by his very nature, by his own being. And so we not only were able to learn from his words, but we were able to learn from watching him and watching the way he acted. And one of the things that he told us was, become like me. If you put all those things together and you put in lots of years of thinking about it, you come to certain conclusions. One was that if you want to know who you really are, you have to become like him. Because what he is what you really are. And what you really aren't is who you think you are if you're not like him. And that takes a while to understand. It just doesn't happen in an instant, because we all come thinking we are. And the truth is, to be, we have to not be. And we have to become something else. And what is that something else we have to become? We have to become like he was. There's a story of a sheikh who had a group of students. And there was one student who was slow compared to the rest of them. And he was in the market in town, and the name of the teacher was Ahmed. And this student, whose name was Yusuf, is running around screaming, I am Ahmed, I am Ahmed, I am Ahmed. And some of the other dervishes' disciples saw him, and they grabbed him, pulled him out of the market, and brought him back to the sheikh. And they said, Ahmed, Sheikh Ahmed, this one has been telling everyone he is Ahmed. And the sheikh said, you should all be Ahmed. This is the whole point of what I'm doing, that you all become Ahmed. He's the only one with the insight to understand that that's what you're supposed to do. And this insight, that you're supposed to become the teacher, is a very powerful insight. And it's something that we should allow each other to become. But there's things like in that story called jealousy. So if someone becomes too much like the teacher, everybody else wants to do something about it because it can't be. Well, to deny the possibility of that happening is to deny the possibility of you becoming your own birthright. To deny the possibility of it happening in somebody else is to deny the possibility of it happening in yourself. So before you can have it happen in you, you have to have the wherewithal that you can imagine it happening to other people, and you can see it as it's happening to other people. If you can't see the elevation in others, there will never be any elevation in your own being. We have to be able to assess the progress that goes on and recognize it. If we recognized it in our sheikh, we should be able to recognize it in others as it occurs. And if we can recognize it in others, that means that we're coming closer to it because we know it when we see it. And if you know it when you see it, that means there's something inside of you that recognizes the truth. Truth in Arabic is known as reality. Reality is known as haq. It's an actual Arabic word which means reality. And if you look at the steps in Sufism, starting with Shariat, Tariqat, the third one is Hakikat. That means the state of reality, which means you start by abiding the rules, you go on a path towards the truth, and then you find yourself in the midst of the truth. And how do you become the truth? Well, you become the truth by becoming the sheikh. We are all aware of the fact that the sheikh spoke the truth. And where did this truth come from? It came from the source of all sources. It came from the divine. And it came through him because he did not block the truth from coming through him. He didn't have the veils of arrogance and ego. He didn't have the veils of separation and differences. He did not have the veils of mine and yours. He didn't have the veils of high and low. He didn't have the veils of separation. And because he wasn't separate, he could be that which knew himself. The ability to integrate ourselves into God's qualities and into everyone else is a big part of knowing who we are. One of the interesting things about watching the sheikh in action was when someone came before him, he gave them his full attention. He wasn't distracted. They became the most important thing in the world to him. And if you look closely, you could also almost see a melding of him and whoever was in front of him. And the ability to do this with people, the ability to do this with everyone who comes into your purview, everyone who comes into your company, is what helps you to begin to know yourself. Because the ability to lose yourself in someone else means that you have lost your self-identity in this world. And before you can get to know who you truly are, you have to lose your false identity. And this is a very big part of understanding the truth. There is a tariqat, an order in Sufism called Halveti. And the main practice in Halveti Sufism was that the dervishes would look at each other in the eyes until they couldn't tell the difference between themselves and the one they were looking at. The point was to disappear in the other. And in that disappearance, in that loss of self, the truth of who you are can come closer. So we'll take all these hints. If you know yourself, you will know your Lord. Well, really, if you break that down, it's a pretty simple sentence. If you know yourself, you will know your Lord. If you know yourself, you'll know you are connected and in a very real way part of your Lord. You disappear into your Lord. So if you know yourself, you disappear into your Lord. You disappear and your Lord appears. Bawa used to say to us over and over, like when he finished a discourse, when I am here, God is not, and when God is here, I am not. So he told us very plainly that there were moments when he didn't exist and only God existed in the manifestation. So we had a divine manifestation in front of us. And he told us, become like him. So what does that mean? It means become a divine manifestation. This is the scary part to the world of Sufism. This is the part that other people call shirk. This is the part that drives people away from this truth. This closeness that Sufism says is available between you and your Lord is frightening to many people. But in reality, in haq, in truth, the only reality is that there is a closeness between you and your Lord. And if that closeness doesn't exist, then your entire life is an illusion. And when that closeness begins to happen, and you integrate Rahman and Rahim and Latif and Sabur and all of the qualities that are God into your own being, and you act with those, then reality happens inside of yourself, and you enter hakikat. Now, for God, Sabur is a noun and a verb. For us, it has to be a verb. We need to become merciful to others. In other words, the action of mercy is what we are capable of. And if the action of mercy happens often enough, then we can be called merciful. But one act of mercy doesn't make us merciful. There's a difference between a state and a station. Can you be in a constant state of mercy? Which means, are you constantly giving mercy out? As a matter of fact, is the mercy within you so great that your appearance in a situation brings mercy to the situation, brings mercy to the inhabitants who happen to be near you, to the ones who come into your presence? Is your presence merciful? The reason people gathered around the Sheikh is that his presence was merciful, and you felt it as you came near him. His presence was compassionate, and you felt it as you came near him. His presence was love, and you felt it as you came near him. And that love was so powerful that it overwhelmed your own being, and you were put at peace. Now, what's interesting about the word peace is it's also one of the names of God. Salam is peace, and it's one of God's qualities. So if you can get yourself into a peaceful state, you are entering into God's qualities. And salam is one of the entrance ways to hakikat. In normal Arabic parlance, when someone meets someone else, they say salam alaikum, may peace be with you. And then you say back, wa alaikum salam, may peace be with you also. A lot of the churches use that now in English. It says two things. May God be with you, and may peace be with you. The important part is may God be with you. May divinity be part of you. May the divine and you have some confluence. May the divine and you somehow be together. Don't be afraid of approaching the divine. Don't deny yourself the birthright that God, Allah, has given to you, which is to become part of the divine. Don't be afraid of losing yourself because of all of the treasures that you think you have within this world of illusion. The treasures that are available from Allah are greater than anything you can imagine in this illusory world. The problem is that our intellect is incapable of measuring and understanding the enormity of God's treasures. So since we can't see them, since we can't understand them, we believe that the treasures in illusion have value. And we begin to believe in the power of money and the power of fame, in the power of power, in the value of power, in the value of fame. We begin to believe these things. And because we believe them, we stop our natural development in becoming part of the divine. And it's only when we give up our attachment to the worldly treasures that we are capable of understanding the greater treasures. The worldly treasures blind us to the truth. The worldly treasures give us a point of view that is an antithesis to reality, that is the opposite of what is real. And it's only when we give up these things that we have the opportunity to begin to know who we truly are. The teachers set it out very straight for us. The teachers in Sufism all bring you to the point of the threshold of Allah's door. They take you there, but you have to let go of everything to take that last step. There are an enormous number of thresholds to be crossed. People stop at various ones and begin to defend them. We can't be defenders. We can't be crusaders. We can't be warriors. We're pilgrims. We're pilgrim warriors, which means we are warriors on the path to losing the self. And our struggle is the struggle that goes on inside of us. And our battle is the battle with illusion that keeps us from knowing the truth. This is our path. This is what we've chosen. It's very difficult to tell people that if you want to get anywhere in your existence, you have to disappear. This doesn't sell easily. But this is what is at the core of the truth. And that's why so many people go through so many different types of knowledge at the end with the understanding that they really haven't learned anything yet. There's only one knowledge that'll take you towards the truth, and that's the knowledge that only God exists and we have to disappear. And as that happens, reality occurs. In the interim, love and be merciful. Be kind and be compassionate. And in every opportunity, be charitable. Learn to give in the way God gives, without conditions and without holding back. Because there is a cornucopia of God's qualities available to you. And as you give them away, more will come to you. As you give away love, more love will come to you. As you give away compassion, more compassion will come to you. God will not only be compassionate to you, He will give you an abundance of compassion to hand out in the world. You'll become His hands in this existence. We need to take on this work. Sufism is a school for saints. And if we're not interested in becoming saints, we shouldn't be in this school. And if we're not interested in having our brothers and sisters also become saints, we shouldn't be in this school. And if we can't accept the fact that our brothers and sisters are becoming saints, we shouldn't be in this school. So let us be joyous for each other. Let us be happy in each other's progress. Let us be happy in all of the positive things that happen to each of us. And let us be happy for each of us. In this joy, we will find Hak, we will find reality, and we'll find who we are. May it be so for each of us. Ameen, ameen. Ya Rabbil Alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.